Through enlightened consciousness, when you have an enlightened being who's able to transmit, right, this divine energy, this light to something else, whether it be an animal, plant, a tree, non-living material, or a person, and you're able to measure the outcome empirically, you know that that thing is real. If God is real, if consciousness is real, then it has an outcome in our lives. There is a practical, measurable outcome. The problem is with New Age spiritualities, we deny ourselves the outcome. We are so intoxicated by the process. We are so process oriented and so focused on, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything right. You don't have to achieve or accomplish anything. You don't have to have success or prosperity as long as you have God. And we miss the fact that God's very nature, God's presence in our lives is prosperity. God is good health and quality of life. God is peace and happiness. God is harmonious relationships with other people. God is peace. God is freedom. If there's anything God is freedom. And when we are trapped in our own desires, when we are trapped in our own delusions or even our own values, when we are trapped in struggle, when we are trapped in not being able to accomplish whatever we need to do in life, even if it's just filing tax returns, when we feel stuck, do we feel free? In these states of being, we almost feel like there's less of God in those moments than when we are accomplishing things and doing more and achieving more, when we are taking our strength and applying it to our lives and being able to produce something worthwhile. We feel like there's more freedom, ironically, in applying more discipline and taking initiative and using more of our efforts to achieve outcomes. The freedom that results as an after effect of that is much more free than not doing it at all. Even psychology says that people who apply more discipline and effort into their lives, who are more disciplined, are happier people. You would probably think the contrary, that maybe a more disciplined life means more strictness, more regulation over what you are able to do, your freedom of choice, your liberty to live whatever you want to be and do whatever you want to do. But discipline and self-effort in actuality is a way of tailoring our lives it's weeding out the delusions. The confusion. It's taking strength, the strength of spirit, of consciousness itself, and taking it and building that muscle, actually utilizing that strength to overcome challenges. The more we take that strength from spirit to overcome a challenge in our lives, the more we manifest that spirit into our reality. The more we experience higher consciousness, the more we experience God. Through all of our science experiments, what we've seen and you see this very evidently in plants and trees, is that when plants and trees are connected to God, to higher states of consciousness, we can just say there's more of that presence of God there. There's more of that divine embodiment. So when we're able to transmit this divine energy and raise the consciousness of plants and trees, what happens? More consciousness when we see the outcome. We see 500% greater yield. We see 600% greater immunity, right? We see 100% increase in shelf life. We see a greater quantity and quality in terms of the amount of nutrients that are available, even for human consumption. We see cancerous cells turned into non-cancerous cells. We've seen the death of cancer cells and the viability of healthy cells. We see drug-resistant bacteria finally respond to drugs. We see the creation of new materials and new species on this planet. We see the structure and energy within the atom, between atoms, everything change to create an entirely new material, an entirely new atom on this planet. And as a result, that material is now more beneficial to us and to the world. There is an inherent strength and inherent spiritual immune system that is built within all of these things the moment consciousness is raised. You no longer need to apply weedicide or fungicide or chemical fertilizers, even organic ones. Just add water. It's like those infomercials, just add water. It's like that example of the iron bar and the magnetic iron bar. When you have a normal iron bar, all the atoms within that bar that compose the totality of that iron bar, they're all chaotic. They're everywhere. They are undisciplined. The efficiency and the capabilities of that iron bar are limited. And when that iron bar becomes a magnetic iron bar, the difference we see is these atoms are now all in perfect alignment. They are disciplined. And that discipline allows a space between these disciplined atoms. And it's through that space where this magnetic energy comes through. This iron bar is able to embody this magnetic energy and utilize it. It naturally flows through it. The iron bar doesn't need to do anything different. It doesn't need to become anything different. It doesn't need to sit in meditation. It doesn't need to chant a mantra. For a material, the character of a material are those inbuilt atoms. So when the characters are disciplined, The iron bar is now able to harness magnetic energy, electromagnetic energy that already exists within its environment. It's not creating or generating more electromagnetic energy. It is harnessing electromagnetic energy that already exists there. And as a result, it's able to use that magnetic energy and apply it to other materials. It can even make other iron bars magnetic just by its presence. That is enlightened consciousness. When we say following the will of God, that means following the principles and fundamentals that are inherent to consciousness itself. When we discipline our lives and our characters in such a way that it lines up just like that iron bar, then naturally, what is naturally emitted, what naturally comes through us and transforms us, is that pure consciousness of God, of divinity. It's natural. Everybody says enlightenment is natural, and that is 100% true. It is not an abnormal state of being. It is simply you take away all the modifications of life, and what's left in that disciplined state of being when your will, your consciousness is suffused with the consciousness of divine, of God, when you and that light are no different from each other, then what comes through is natural. There's no harnessing or thinking or focusing your energy, doing Reiki and Tai Chi and Qigong and acupuncture, trying to align your chakras and do all these rituals and dogmas and practices. It is natural. God didn't create acupuncture, Tai Chi, and Qigong. God created awareness. It's the human mind that created these rituals and dogmas to try and bring us back to that pure awareness. They are not necessary. It's like the ritual, the practice itself, it's meant to point to something. It's meant to direct our awareness to something, but in and of itself, it has no power behind it. The power is the consciousness behind it. It's like we get confused with the finger pointing at the moon. We start to look at the finger instead of the moon. So much so we forget about the moon entirely. And we start thinking, okay, my finger has to be exactly like this, and then the moon will appear.